What's up, y'all? And welcome to Life According to Cree, the podcast. As always, I am your host, Cree Cole. How y'all doing? And Life According to Cree, the podcast is the place and the space where we have real life conversations. Conversations about love, life, relationships, growth, and the truth that we sometimes have to learn the hard way. And so this week's episode centers around the truths that change relationships. But before we get into all of that, I want to share y'all a little bit that's going on in the life of Cree, okay? So, number one, I live my life. Basketball is life, okay? Basketball is life. So, March 31st, that ends the first quarter. April 1st, we going into the second quarter. So, if anybody who knows anything about basketball, what you don't want to do is going to halftime behind. And baby, right now, we in a full court press. We in a full court press here at Life According to Cree. I have had, since I decided to put energy and time back into this aspect of Life According to Cree as a platform, baby, I have been presented and I have been approached with so many awesome opportunities that exceed anything that I could possibly think of for myself. And it's honestly based on what I've done, what I'm doing. And while, you always gonna have them people to be like, but she ain't really doing that, but while you always gonna have them people, there is a whole nother, those aren't the people. Those aren't the people that you do it for. Those aren't the people that you show up for. And even when I walked away from my podcast 2 years ago, when I walked away from my podcast, coming back, the goal was never to show anybody, none of the naysayers, a single thing. When I tell you I did a social media cleanse that shut the internet down for me damn near, I got them people up out of here. And I got those people up out of here because there was absolutely no reason to keep those people around. I know we got this whole thing where I'm going to let them see me be great. For what? Why? When people already have their mind made up about you, there's nothing that you are going to be able to do to make a difference. But that's neither here nor there. I was talking about the blessings that are underway, the things that are moving, the things that are changing, and the things that are coming up in the spring of 2026 as far as Life According to Cree. I know that I do the content. I talk about what's going on. I give advice. I talk about, women's empowerment, self-care, self-growth, all the things, right? But I don't think y'all ready. Are y'all ready to hear me do this on your mornings? Are y'all ready to hear me do this on other people's platforms? Are y'all ready to hear me do this live? Because I'm ready. I'm ready. So stay tuned. Another thing, Life According to Cree will have a new installment to the Empowered Living series that's featured on lifeaccordingtocree.com as soon as July 1st. And when this breaks, baby, it's not going to be one of my regular little breaks, one of my little announcements like it normally is. It's not even finna be that. It's not even finna be that. Because like I said, your gifts make room for you. Your gifts make room for you that AI cannot. Don't get this, don't be fooled by this AI generated backdrop. Everything that you see is authentically Cree. Okay? Also, don't be surprised. I know y'all know I do my little photo shoot drops or whatever. But there might be a little something in print. I know there's about to be something in print. However, I'm a hold tight on that because I'm just not sure about the release date. Okay. But I just need to get that off my chest. I just need to tell somebody. And if I'm going to tell anybody, why not tell y'all? So let's get into this week's real life recap. And one day, hopefully, I'll be saying brought to you by. But right now, it's just brought to you by Cree Cole. Now, in U.S. headlines, and I know that we don't like to keep up with what's going on in America. It's a little overwhelming. It makes you depressed. It makes you sad. You don't understand what's going on. But you need to know, okay? You need to know a little bit about a little bit of something. That way you're not completely shocked when stuff pop off, okay? Okay, so we are on the verge of yet another government shutdown. Now, the government shutdown that everybody was hollering about when people weren't going to get their food stamps and all that stuff, that was monumental. because that made an actual that was an historic moment in American history, because that officially made this president to have the most government shutdowns during his term. And it doesn't stop here. Because see, when you're putting all this money into all these other things that nobody asked for, and just taking some of the money and putting it in your own pocket, eventually the budget is going to be at a crunch. And this is a budget that was already put together. Already put together. They can't decide on the next budget. They can't get the money right because it's been allocated and thrown in all these other places from the previous budget. And what does that mean for people like you and me? It means higher prices. It means higher gas. It means more regulations on things that don't require regulation in order to avoid scarcity. And it really requires new laws and new bills to protect certain things. But because this Congress is the way this Congress is, and this president is the way this president is, there's absolutely nothing that we as individuals can do to stop it other than showing up to vote during the primaries and getting those congressmen out of their offices. I know it's something that is beyond you. If you're somebody who does not have the right to vote, baby, I'm not talking to you. There's no need to comment. There's no need to have any type of voice in the conversation. If you can't vote because it's something that's beyond your control, then that's on you. But for everybody who is able to vote, we need to be willing to vote. I'm not going to do that whole lesser of two evils conversation. I'm not going to be like, do the whole we're right, they're wrong, all that stupid foolishness that I hear people do. And what they're saying, what the message that they're trying to convey gets lost in the sauce with all the other rhetoric. What I am going to say is the only way to affect change in our higher government is to change the people who are in our higher government offices. And that starts within your state. So if you're not registered to vote, I need for you to go ahead and get registered to vote. If you're already registered to vote, I need for you now. Don't wait until October. Don't wait until June. I need for you now to go out there and check. Make sure that you are still that your voting precinct is still the same. Make sure that your voter status is still in place. Make sure that all your information matches between your identification, because the SAVE Act is not going into effect. So the stuff that they talking about, they don't even affect us yet because it has not been passed into law. But what we do need to do is make sure that what we already have in place is in fact in place, verified and unquestionable. In other news, last week, Lotto teased her new music. She teased who her baby daddy was, which I don't know why anybody who's plugged into pop culture, that's who they've been saying she's been dating, despite the fact that he is a married man, despite the fact that he got three kids with his wife, all the things, right? And to be honest, if we're completely honest, we don't know if those people are still married or not. We don't know if it was a convenience of marriage, a convenience or not. We don't know any of that because 21 nor his wife have said any of that. So I'm not going to speak to something that we have nothing but assumptions, because I'm old people. What they say, assumptions make an ass out of you and me. So we're not going to assume. However, we are at this place now. We do congratulate Lotto on her pregnancy. We're always going to congratulate a new life being brought into the world, despite how that life got here. That's something that we can talk about, and she can talk about and do what she need to do with it on her own. She don't need our help. Okay? She don't need our help. And since we're moving through the news space, NCAA women's basketball tournament has delivered some upsets, standout performances. Listen, we all know who the big four is, right? We all know who the big four is. It's Carolina, UConn, LSU, and Texas. One of them gonna win it. Now, I'm a Carolina fan, and I'm an LSU fan, and a Texas fan, and a UConn fan, whenever they are not playing Carolina. I'm gonna be honest. I love basketball, period. But we all know if it's not one of them four at the end, will it be great for basketball? Yes. Will I be bothered? I'm going to be bothered if it's anybody but Carolina. But am I going to be bothered? Most definitely. So make sure that you tune in to watch, because we need the momentum that women's basketball has gotten to continue to keep chugging along. We need it to continue to increase. We needed to keep moving, because As it moves through the college spaces, it interprets, as we can see, by the new salary negotiations. It translates into the professional women's basketball leagues. And who can argue with that? Who could not be happy with that? That brings us into today's episode, say where we're talking about the truth that can change relationships forever. Now, everybody has had those instances where or was taught that honesty is always the best policy. Honesty is always the best policy, right? But as we get older, as times change, people tend to get away from certain simple things that translate no matter what decade it is, no matter what technology we have. And because once honesty enters a conversation, things shift, whether they be for the good or for the bad. Sometimes relationships grow stronger, sometimes the dynamics change, and sometimes truth simply reveals that everything isn't what we want it to be. And it exposes the things that were already there. When you start speaking truths and having honesty in relationships, sometimes the dynamics have a tendency to change. And it's not because you're showing up as a fake person, as you're showing up as your representative. Sometimes it could just depend on how you all met each other. And that's whether it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, even if it's a work relationship. How you all were introduced to each other can affect how people view you, who they think you are, what they think you're all about, and how you handle situations. When the reality of it is, baby, you met me at the club. You met me at the club. You met me at the club. You met me while I was drinking. You met me on a night when I had made up in my mind that I was going to be on 10 all night long. You met me on a night when I was completely with the shits. You met me on an evening when I was with my friends or out alone and I wasn't giving any about anybody. And we started our relationship because that's where we met. That's the type of time that we started our relationship off on. But now it's time to have some conversations and expose who we truly are. And the only way to do that, like I said, number one, by actually having conversations. Having conversations, spending time together with people, whether it's somebody of the opposite sex or someone or a new homegirl in the making. Spending time with each other, hanging out together, having conversation in spaces where you can have conversation. And actually getting to know one another. Because when you met me, I could have been at a conference where I'm presenting to someone or to a room of people about love and self-care and the things that we need to do to achieve that. When in reality, this is something that I struggle with myself. And it's a truth that I hold to myself. And you won't know that until we start having conversations. People who are comfortable with the quiet version of you tend to or have a possibility of struggling with the honest version of you. Like I said, it's depending on how you met. If you met me while I was out running errands, going to the grocery store, I happened to be at the gas pump, we were at church, we were both at an event, and I'm networking and things like that. When something later on down the line, when something happens, and I'll be like, whoa, hold on, pause. It is almost certain that it's going to create an uncomfortable moment. Especially if you weren't doing the things to actually build a real relationship with that person. Like you really ain't get to know them. See, if you really get to know somebody, you get those moments of honesty and truth, that there's a level of comfort there and there's really something that wants to be built up. You get those early. Different stages, but you get them early. That's why I be talking about not rushing it. I don't rush into calling people my friend. I don't rush into calling people my man. I don't care how much we hang out together. With family, it's a little bit different because the connection that we have is a connection that we have. But whether or not you one of my best cousins, because I'm kids with a lot of people, whether or not I'll actually with them people and be out and about and around with those people are two different things. So while we may not be that comfortable with truth, what it does do is signal that there is actually growth happening in your relationships. When you feel like you need to sit down with somebody and let somebody know something, it's because you have come to a crossroads where you want that relationship to grow. You want that relationship to continue, no matter what the relationship is. And there's something that you need to let them know, whether it's something that's to change behaviors, whether it's something to actually get something off your chest and stop suppressing, whether it's something that's needed in order to move on to the next level. And that can be in a friendship or an actual romantic relationship. No matter what the case may be, truth is always something that should be welcome in your relationships, no matter who the relationship is with. Okay, so picture it. It's summer 2022. A wonderful time in my life. I was 41 years old. Was I 41? In 2022? 42. Shit, I don't remember. That was 4 years ago. I was 41. Lord Jesus. Okay, so picture it. Summer of 2022. I have been kicking it and hanging out with a man every day, all day, 7 days a week. Every day, all day, 7 days a week. For well over a year, right? So by this point, we are so entangled in our relationship with one another that we're saying, I love you, I love my friend, all this different stuff, right? Just how far we done got it. So I decide, as always, that I am going to let this man know exactly how I feel about him. Because I've been lying. I've been lying. Engaging in conversations with, talking about him getting a girlfriend, what it'd be like if he got a girlfriend, telling him I'm rooting on somebody to pull the point their arrow and shoot him out the sky because he felt like he was a soaring eagle and all this other foolishness. Yes, this was a real life analogy that I was given. Mm-hmm. So I decided that I am going to tell him exactly how I feel. And I picked a weekend because I was going to an event out of town, not in his town, not in my town, not cities. And I was like, yeah, I gotta go to such and such on the weekend. I'm attending an event. I'm gonna stay overnight. You should come up and come hang out with me. You should come hang out with me. And we can go grab, after the event, we can go grab something to eat, maybe go do something in the city. If you ain't doing nothing, he like, I'm off. I bet. I'll let you know what I'm gonna do. A couple days later, he lets me know what he gonna do. He's like, yeah, I can make that swing. I got invited to a party, but I could definitely ride up there, come through, we could chill. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, the fact that he was cool with doing it at all let me know that he was somewhere with the shits too. Like, it wasn't just about being in my space, possibly getting a little cat. It wasn't even about that because he could do that at home. He knows that when I got back into town, if that's what the time, like when I got back into town the next day, if that's what we was going to be, he knew he was guaranteed to get it. So it wasn't even about coming up there for that purpose. So like, I was like, okay, this might not be a bad idea. And I'm going to let him know how I feel. So I go to my event. I have a great time at my event. One of my homegirls came from her city, met me there because it was like in the middle. We had a great time at the event. She went back to her city. I'm back at the hotel. I'm getting myself together because I'm like, oh, he coming. I'm excited about the fact that he's coming, but I'm also terrified because, like I said, this is the night where the day that I decided I want to tell him exactly how I feel. He gets there. He like, oh, no, let's chill, this real nice, whatever. We kicking it the way that we always do. We decided we're not going to actually go sit down and eat anywhere. We were just going to grab the food, come back to the room, because really and truly, I was overstimulated from the day itself. I had been around a lot of people doing a lot of talking. He really was not the type to be, unless he was just going to go hang out, to like be around large groups of people just to eat or whatever. And we ate together all the time. So we end up getting the food. We bring it back to the room. We kick it for a while. Of course, we do the things that we do. We do those because why wouldn't we do those things? And then he tells me about, because the plan was never for him to stay. Okay, let's make that clear. The plan was never for him to stay. So we sitting around kicking it. He starts to, kind of low-key mention about he probably need to get himself together to get to the party that he's going to, because he's going to have to drive like an hour and a half back in order to get to the party before the party over and all that stuff. And I'm basically saying, like, I'm sitting there thinking like, Crystal, you need to say something. Crystal, you need to say something. Crystal, you need to say something. But I just could not get it to come out of my mouth. It was like I didn't want to ruin the night because we were having so much of a good time together. We always had a good time with one another. Like to the point where when he does get ready to leave, I don't try to get him to stay. Not at all. I don't even mention it. I don't hint at it, nothing. Before he gets ready to leave, he's like, you gonna walk with me downstairs? Now mind you, by this time it's like 11 o'clock at night, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Why I would walk you downstairs and I'm the one, whatever what happened. So I say, yeah, we go downstairs. I was like, well, let me do this, whatever, while I'm downstairs, because I can't do it in the room. So we sit there, we end up talking for a whole nother hour. Now it's well after 1 o'clock. I felt like he wanted me to ask him to stay or try to get him to stay. But the way my pride was set up and him not volunteering to stay, I did not do that. So the nigga had to drive home. He had to drive all the way back home. And I know he missed the party. I know he missed the party. So fast forward 2 years. Over the course of that 2 years, we actually end up falling out about a completely unrelated situation that actually had absolutely nothing to do with me, but had everything to do with him. I was unpleased with the situation. I had my own feelings about the situation. He did not agree with my viewpoint of the situation. But I had to be honest with him. So we quit speaking. We quit speaking all the way up until 2025. 2025 before we speak again. By this time, he is actually in a relationship. He is in a full-blown committed relationship. I am doing my thug thizzle per usual. He just decides to reach out one day. He reaches out. I answer. We end up having a very, very deep conversation. A very, very deep conversation. And he makes reference back to the night that he drove and came and met me in that other city for that event. He brings it up. And he is like, you almost had me. Now, for me, this is awkward because for one, nigga, I ain't talked to you in years. For two, we have spent probably the past week, 2 weeks talking about your current relationship that you're in. The ups, the downs, the ins, the outs. Like I've actually even been encouraging you by this point. I've been encouraging you, to stay in a relationship and actually on her side about a lot of the issues that he was telling me about. And encouraging him to do different things to be better. And this is where he goes with the conversation, which I think is completely unfair. I immediately say to myself, like, what the? But I asked him to elaborate. He elaborates, and he was like, Crystal, I think I was in love with you. And immediately, I think back to how that was the whole reason, me wanting to be honest with him and tell him the truth about how I felt about him was the only reason he was invited. And I could not bring myself, like we talked about in the last episode, to speak my truth out of fear of not getting the result that I hoped for. So since we're in that moment, I said, well, I was in love with you. I was definitely in love with you. I was in love with you. And my plan was to tell you that I was in love with you. And I promise you, it's like something like released from me in that moment. I felt so light because despite us breaking communication with each other, us starting to communicate again, me letting me know he is now in a relationship and all that stuff, and me having those thoughts when he told me that about how I probably should have said something because that probably would have been me, but then also recognize the fact that he's been on the phone with me telling me all his relationship issues that I knew would be relationship issues when I was conversing with him and hanging out with him, and told him he needed to avoid, yet he did not avoid, and that could be me. That he's on the phone talking to another female about. That's not a here nor there. But it made me feel so light because I finally got that off of me. Like I had even had conversations about him with people that we knew mutually, and I just could not let myself speak my truth and say I was in love with that man. I just couldn't do it. And finally, I had did it. But when I did it, despite the fact that that had been almost 3 years ago, that instantly changed the dynamic of our relationship because he no longer saw me as a friend. Like, even though he felt the way he felt about me and he was finding out that I felt the same, like, he literally told me, Crystal, I felt like you telling me that makes me feel like you lied to me. It makes me feel like you weren't being authentic. It makes me feel like you were trying to hustle me. And he told me, like, Barry was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I've missed you. You my friend. I've missed you. You know, I had that space open to you and for you, but you didn't want it. And I feel a way about you telling me that now, knowing my current situation. I said, well, I feel a way about you bringing it up, knowing what your current situation is. Long story short, we stopped speaking again. We stopped speaking again. We stopped speaking again. A couple of weeks went by. A couple of months went by, if I'm being completely honest. He shows back up in my text messages again. And against my better judgment, I respond. So we start back speaking, but I noticed very quickly within the first couple of days, we're talking while he is at work. That lets me know that you're hiding the fact that you're talking to me. And if we're really friends and you gotten over where you felt like you were bamboozled and I wasn't completely honest with you, if you gotten over that and it's okay for you to talk to me, why the hell are you only talking to me while you at work? I didn't like it. See, at this point in my big ass life, everybody that I talk to, I can talk to at any time, male or female, no matter who they're with, no matter what time of the day it is. I can talk to them anytime. So why would I allow somebody into my world, no matter what our history is? Why would I allow somebody into my world that I have to talk to on a schedule? Of course, I'm sure y'all done figured it out. We're no longer friends. We're no longer cool. We no longer speak. We might be cool, but we no longer speak because I was not standing for this. So let me give you a little life receipt. Truth doesn't always destroy strong relationships. It reveals the weak ones. Okay? And sometimes that clarity is exactly what you need. If me being honest with you and you being honest with me changes our relationship with each other so much that we're not able to still talk and enjoy the things that we enjoy about each other. Should we have ever been in a relationship or friends in the first place? Think about it. If just being honest about how you feel can completely end your friendship, your relationship, you have to stop and pause before you go fight for that friendship or that relationship or that level of kinship with somebody. You have to stop and ask yourself, why did that shake us the way that we shook us? Why is me being honest with you that big of an issue? Why is it not accepted? Make sense? It should. And if it doesn't make sense, this is why we're here. Because those are the questions that you need to ask. And people be saying all this, you go to that person. No, 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 no. Before you go to get clarity from someone else, you need to be clear with yourself. You need to be clear about what your intentions are when having those conversations. What do you want to gain by sharing this truth and being honest about this situation or that situation or your feelings or whatever? What is it that you want to get out of it? You have to clear that before you do anything at all in regards to another person or to get feedback from another person. You can't be basing what you do off of the feedback from that person. I hope that makes sense to y'all. It makes all the sense in the world to me. If it don't make sense to y'all, it will. Now, who steps up and who disappears? Some people rise to meet your honesty, others will pull away. But either way, truth creates the clarity. No matter what the response, we talked about it in the last episode. We only have control over us, over ourselves. No matter what manipulation tactics you done learned, no matter how you've been coached by people who got a little microphone or got a big microphone and tell you how you should approach situations, when rubber hits the road and things are happening in real time, the people, only person that you have control over is yourself. You cannot predict or prepare completely for how that other person is going to react. They might be like, wow, I'm glad you shared that with me. Thank you. And this is what I'm gonna do to move forward. And they might be like, you know what? That's my cue. That's my cue. I'm out. And it's up to you to and then it's up to you to decide. You can talk to as many of your homegirls as you want to. You can talk to your mama, you can talk to your sister, you can talk to your cousins about it. You can get online, go on one of your favorite apps, put in that topic, watch 100 videos of how people say they're gonna know how they handle shifts in their friendships based upon their truths. You can do all that. But at the end of the day, if that person wants to go, if your truth is too much for that person and they choose to go, there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. The only possible thing that you can do is change what your truth is, modify yourself in order to please that person. And depending on what that truth is, sometimes that's not an option. There are times where our truths aren't just based on what we've experienced. Sometimes our truths are based on what is right and what is wrong. And there's no negotiating that. Those things aren't up for negotiation. I had to let go of a friend because their lifestyle did not line up with how I wanted to live current day in my life. I had a homie. I'm going to call her a homie. I had a homie that I had probably since 2003, 4. And we weren't always around each other. We didn't always talk. We weren't always seen together. When we were seen together, we were seen together. But we weren't always seen together. And I did not like the way that she lived. Like I did some similar to what she did, and we could always, have good conversation and all that on that. But the way that she lived her life overall, I know that a lot of my videos, I know that a lot of my videos probably gut punched her. I know they did. I know they did. And I swear to God, I was not making the videos or making the posts in order to come at her like in some passive aggressive way. It's just with the way I just could not do it. I just could not do it. So like I had to sit her down and be like, babe, sweetie, I love you. But I can't fuck with you. Like I can't do it. Like it's not even about what other people got to say. It's not even about what other people think. It's not about people thinking that I'm on that type of time because you on that type of time. It is 100,000% based on the fact that how you live makes me uncomfortable. And I went through the specific things that she does because it wasn't little things. It wasn't like you chew your food with your mouth open. No, they were real life lifestyle things that she was completely cool with that I was not cool with, and I wanted her to be the best version of herself. That bitch let me talk, looked me in my eyes. We even cried together. Okay, we even cried together. When I stopped in order to let her say whatever she was going to say, that woman looked me dead in my eyes and said, well, I'm going to always be me. So I guess we're done here. got up off of her fucking love seat, walked over to the door to unlock that motherfucker. So when she started walking to the door, I went on here to raise my ass up off her chair because I get your ass about this woman, get your ass about this woman's chair. Got up and she was like, "Love you, sis," and she gave me a hug and I hugged her back and got in the car and we have not spoken since. She was like, your truth does not align. Ain't that the word of ain't that the word of 2026? What you're saying does not align with how I'm choosing to live. So love you, but you gotta go. And I was okay with that. After about 7 to 10 business days, I was okay with that. I wasn't okay with it at first. I was like, how the fuck I'ma tell this bitch she need to wash her motherfucking clothes and she gonna stop being my goddamn friend? All the stuff I done been through. How the hell she gonna stop being my friend? And I'm the one that had to go. I ain't gonna tell nobody business. I ain't gonna tell nobody business. All I'm gonna say is, because there are some people who know me in real life, in the real streets. How the hell she gonna say she gonna stop being my friend and that my truth ain't. It took for me to actually stop. Stop telling other people about it. Stop getting other people's opinions. Just sit down in that shit and say, you know what? I respect that. I respect that. The way that she was all in on the things that she loved are exactly the reason why we ever became friends in the first place. And I couldn't do nothing but respect that. You know what I'm saying? And then, and then I've also had experiences where my honesty actually brought me and someone closer together. Like I literally had to do 10 somersaults, a backflip, and a triple tuck from being in a relationship because I was being a little too honest. I was being a little too honest. Like I didn't waste no time. Nick, I am falling in love with you. I ain't waste no time. See, you only got to, I don't have to get hit upside the head 1,000 times in order to know that getting hit hurts. I mean, I came out so hot after about a month. I'm falling for you. I'm falling for you. And I don't want to be in a committed relationship because I don't want to fall short with reciprocating what I know goes into a successful relationship. I don't want to do that to anybody. I don't want to test anybody's patience like that. But I'm just putting you all notice that I love you. Okay? I love you. Right now, I ain't in love with you, but I love you. So there's a possibility that it could go that route. And when I said it, when I got it off my chest, our dynamic changed. Our dynamic changed. Where he was never disrespectful, never ever disrespectful, because I never would have got to that point if he was ever a disrespectful person. But the level of respect that he began to show me once I expressed myself earnestly and honestly is something that if I was in the space and ready to do the things that need to be done in order to have a successful relationship or to at least have a real crack at one, he the one. He the one. He's the one. Because it changed the dynamic of our relationship, but it changed for the better. It was a noticeable change where I saw where there were things that he no longer wanted me to see. There were things that he no longer wanted me to hear. There were things that he no longer wanted me to, it was cool that I was aware of them, there were things that he did not want to affect me based on everything that we knew about one another. And it changed the way that he handled me. He's still honest with me. We're not in a committed relationship. We both know how we move about the world. But once he knew how I felt, it changed the way that he showed up for me. Like he respects how I feel about him and wants to show up and keep that level of respect in place. And I like it. And I like it. Oh, I like it. That's for another time, another episode. But as we start to come to a close, of course, as always, I have a reflection question for you. And the reflection question is, who in your life shows up differently when honesty enters the conversation? And what I mean by how they show up differently, not necessarily that your friendship or whatever the relationship is ends, but anytime you're honest about how you feel, there's a slight change. Like they don't call you as often, they don't text you as often, they don't invite you places, or the complete opposite. They show up once you're honest. They show up more. They call more. They text more. Who in your life shows up differently when honesty enters a conversation? Take note of that. And most importantly, take note of how the dynamic change. And once you have that listed, who those people are, how they change, whether it's a negative or a positive, then go back and list how that affects you in your daily life, even when they're not involved. List how that translates into the other aspects of your world when it comes to that relationship. And then it's up to you to make a decision about how you want to proceed with those people. Let me tell you something. We may have different topics every month, monthly focuses or whatever, but the ultimate goal is always peace. Okay? How do I at the end of that, after all those lists, I want you to gauge how much peace, how your relationships with those people change, how much peace that gives you. Got it? Okay. So before we close the day, remember this. Loving yourself first is not about being selfish. It's about loving yourself in a way that allows you to love others better. Because when we honor our own truths, we create space for healthier relationships. The health of our relationships begins and ends with us, not the other people. Not that man, not your cousin, not your sister, not your mom and them. It begins and ends with us. So thank you all for tuning in. We are 4 episodes in. We have concluded. This concludes the month of March. This concludes the month of March. And I'm happy that y'all rocked it with me all month. New topic next month. Make sure to say new focus next month. Make sure that you go out and subscribe to lifeaccordingtocree.com. It is an actual interactive space where we have public forums. That's where all of the life check challenges and Empower 365 challenges are located. It is also a one-stop shop for the Empowered Living Life Teams and Life Kids book series. You can go straight from Life According to Cree, click on the links, get over there to Amazon, and go check those out for purchase, whether that be by Kindle, hardback, or softback, hardcover or softcover. Let's not be that country crystal. It is also a place where you can actually get interactive workbooks that go along with each one of the month's challenges. It also links you to Life According to Cree TV, which is our YouTube channel. So downloading the app to your phone is in fact a one-stop shop to all things Cree Cole, all things Life According to Cree. So get out there and do it. Oh, don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms also. And be ready for those April announcements because they're coming soon. We only 10 days. It ain't even 10 days away, Lord. We are only 2 days away from the second quarter. Okay, it might as well be 2 seconds. So let's get into it. Let's get ready. And until next time, y'all. Bye.